So welcome back everyone, and hello if you are new. So at long last the time has come. So I'll be honest, in all of these album of the year lists, this one has been incredibly difficult. But one thing that's always been certain is these top 5. Given the fact that this year has been a complete write-off, music has been literally like my saving grace. I don't know about you guys, but these albums have really helped me through a tough time. So the first album that I'm going to go with in my final album of the year list is Elder and Omens. So, as you guys have probably picked up by now, a big sort of theme that I've gone with this year has been the idea of escapism. And for me, Omens is like the pinnacle of that escapism. And I know that a lot of people were saying it's not reflections of a floating world and things like that. And really, why should it be? But it still has that quintessential, nostalgia, that alpenglow that I loved about Elder. And I think maybe it's because it came at the time of the height of the pandemic, but it always just chills me out, and I feel like you can put this album on whenever, and it's always an amazing journey, really. So that's one of the reasons that Omens is one of my favourite albums of 2020.
Charity is your demand, but you never showed me any lenient empathy.
So The Ocean have created an album which is the perfect companion to the previous record, which is Phanerozoic, Paleozoic. That album was very strong, it was very stoic, and it was very kind of stony. Do you know what I mean? It was very kind of earthen, whereas Mesozoic, Cenozoic, I feel is more prog-oriented. It's got trickier time signatures, it's got more interesting things, particularly with bass and guitar and drums. Things are being experimented with a little bit more. But they have this symbiosis which kind of runs through the two records and makes both Paleozoic and Mesozoic, Cenozoic even better when you put them together. And not to mention the concept of the idea of eternal recurrence. I think that the band have done a concept as big as this justice in terms of how it sounds, and this album is just brilliant. Oransi Pazuzu are abstract and daring. They deconstruct a song and then put it back together to create this weird, freakish Frankenstein thing which sounds like Blade Runner meets Vangelis by the way of Emperor. It's just 100% the sound of nightmares. And I think that's what I love, is these aren't traditional song structures. This isn't an easy listen. These are really hard and confrontational songs. It's uncompromising, unmoving, and truly unique. And I think that's the best thing about it, is it demands your attention. You have to really kind of respect it almost. And I know that sounds like absolute waffle, but it's just such a great album. There is no album that has been released this year that's like it, and I really do think that Oransi Pazuzu are one of the most visionary bands out there. The thing that I love about this album is that Enslaved are able to kind of distill their sound into something that is manageable and not necessarily overstaying its welcome. They're also pushing their sound further forward, but allowing their own sense of identity to remain. There's also so many different layers to the theoretical concept idea of what this album is. Utgard is essentially one's own journey inside yourself, but then also it's a traditional kind of folklore, mythology. But the biggest thing for me was that I got this album very early on, given that I did this interview with Ivar. And obviously it was pushed back given, the current state of the world. And I remember I have been listening to this album for 8 months and I still enjoy it. Every single time I listen to it, there's something else that I can uncover. And I think that is what has made it so far up this list, and I think it's their best album in 10 years. You know, it's up there within times for me. It's such a fantastic record. However, there can be only one, and this year, I'm really glad to say that it is. Code Orange with Underneath. I think this album is truly revolutionary. You know, this is the Visionaries. And the real thing with this one is that, you know, this is just the beginning. This is Code Orange being sublime. From the moment you hit go until the end of the record, there is this amorphous, dark world that you're in. I also think that the real secret ingredient to their success and the genius of this album is the electronics. The electronics really bring it into that next level and make it feel like you are breaking down. That this kind of unseen entity is just kind of always trying to trip you up. And that's the thing with Code Orange, is that, you know, there's glitches, there's little bits where, you know, the band completely pull the rug out from underneath you, and that's what I love. They keep you guessing, and they know they're always one step ahead. This album cannot be ignored, and its impact, I think, is going to be felt for quite a long time in our, you know, in our community. You know, for a year where literally everything of what we had known, our preconception of how we live, this record is just, it's a game changer. It really is. That next level of artistic creativity. It turned an avid person who did not like this band into one of their biggest fans. It's the soundtrack to 2020. Without a doubt, it's my favourite album this year. Last year, I also put together my favourite campaign that I've worked on. I don't know if you guys know, but I also work as a PR here in the UK. So, without a doubt, I would say my favourite campaign this year has been Imperial Triumphant with Alphaville. There's so much fantastic opportunity with this band, and this is only the beginning, really, and I think they're pushing forward a sound which incorporates avant-garde, black metal, jazz. There's even a guest appearance from Thomas Hark of Meshuggah on the taiko drums. It was produced by Colin Marston and Trey Sprance. Like, it's just such a great record, and you know, very similar to Code Orange, I guess, is it demands your attention. You can't sort of really focus on anything else whilst it's being played, and for me, there's not really anything else like it out there. It was also a huge accomplishment. I think the campaign went really well, and it was just, without a doubt, my highlight of 2020. I hope you guys have enjoyed my albums of 2020, and I think that we are in such an amazing place right now for music, and that there's so much interesting new bands that are just really kind of rebuilding and remoulding how we perceive music. And that's what I think 2020 really has had. And I will see you in 2021. Have a lovely, lovely Christmas and a happy new year. And I will see you on the flip side. Take care, my friends, and I'll see you soon.